Altavista will take on Dan Rive in a Dogwood District quarterfinal. It will take place on Monday at Altavista's YMCA Field. Stewart Grant, head coach of the Colonels, joins me on the Sports Buffet podcast. Talked about what concerned him about Dan Rive, breaks down the rest of the district tournament as well. First-year man down at Altavista High School, Stewart Grant, on the Sports Buffet podcast.
Always fun for me to catch up with Stewart Grant. He's the head coach of the Altavista Colonels baseball team. We talked last week, but we're talking again because it's district tournament time. Altavista, big one on Monday when they take on the Wildcats of Dan Rive. We're going to get Coach Grant's thoughts on that and all the games. We talked about that game that you guys were going to have against Appomattox. We haven't talked to you since then. Kind of give me what you were pleased with and what you weren't pleased with.
Well, I'm pleased that we we definitely won't see Appomattox in the first round again. Jake Perkins for Appomattox threw a great game against us. He threw a no-hitter, pitched very well, and he followed that up with a district championship win against Chatham on Friday. That's good that we won't have them in the first round.
I guess, can you take anything good out of a no-hitter? I mean, I know that sounds silly because you didn't get any hits, but can anything good come out of that of what you saw out of your team?
Well, try to believe that we aren't capable of doing. Perkins is a very good pitcher, but we swung the bats with no purpose and not a lot of ways to try to do things to get on base. We were up there free swinging a little bit too much, and that's just not our game.
And at this point in the season, that's something you don't want to see. I know at no point do you really want to get into bad habits, but how important is it right now to not start getting bad habits?
Well, I think it was just more of a matter of losing focus for that one particular game. Appomattox got on us pretty quick, and I think a few of our young men were trying to get back in the game with one swing, and that's impossible when you're down 3 and 4 runs. And so we just got out of our game a little bit, and I think we have a pretty smart ball club, and I think we realized after the game and practice for the rest of the week that things we have to do to be successful.
Do you feel that you definitely 100% need to beat Dan Rive to get in the regional tournament, which I know is a little bit different than what you were used to in the Seminole?
Yeah, yes. I went up and watched some games up in the Shenandoah Valley on Friday. They have an 8-team district. All 4 of their lower seeds won, which put all 4 lower seeds in front of us before we play our district game, and on top of the couple of the higher seeds as well. So it's a must-win game for us, yes.
Talk a little bit about Sammy McCormick's team.
Just Sammy McCormick in general, you're going to have a great coach ball club. Very disciplined, very knowledgeable of the game, and that's the way they are at Dan Rive this year, just like every other year. Sammy's got a state championship ring on his belt, and he knows how to coach, and his players know how to play for him.
Go ahead.
And they play very disciplined as well.
You know, I remember seeing them come play Heritage, it's been years ago because I was in the Keith Scruggs regime over there. But, you know, one thing that impressed me about Dan Rive is they don't make mistakes. And I know baseball is a little bit of a different game to where it's kind of tougher to force another team to make a mistake. But how prepared do you have to be that, you know, Dan Rive might try to force you to make a mistake by doing something just simply fundamental on their end?
Well, you know, like you said, they're not going to make mistakes. They don't panic when balls are hit to them. They don't panic when anything goes on. And that's not surprising out of a Sammy McCormick ball club, but it is a little surprising out of a team that's as young as they are. They've matured a lot as the season's gone on, and they've been playing some pretty good baseball.
I think at this point in the season, one area that could be critical to every team that I don't think your average fan would really take into consideration is base running. How important is it, you know, that old adage, don't make the first out or third out at third, or, you know, obviously you don't want to get caught in any rundowns when you've got a runner in scoring position and, you know, you just kind of run yourself out of an inning. How important is it at this point you are very, very intelligent on the base pass?
Well, you don't want to make mistakes, but you don't want to be so conservative that it takes you out of what, if you're a base-stealing team or you're an aggressive team on the base pass, you don't want to take that out of your arsenal. Dan Rive has a real good sophomore catcher in Dallas Smithers. He's an all-district type catcher. So it's difficult to run on them and just straight steal. So then we try to complement that maybe with some hit runs or maybe a few more sacrifice bunts than you would normally do.
We talked about it last week, but who are some guys from your team that have either A, stood out to you, or B, that you're really impressed with the type of ball they're playing heading into the district tournament?
Well, defensively, we're playing pretty solid. Adam Emerson in center field has been a stalwart all year out there. He hasn't made any errors and has come up with some really big catches out there for us. Rick Adams is shortstop when he's not pitching. There's no better in the area. He's got a great glove. He's getting lots of looks on more than just one Major League Baseball scout. And he's already committed to go to Lewisburg College for next year as well. I have another catcher myself that's an all-district type catcher, and Jake Reynolds. He does a good job, not just directing the pitchers that we've got, but he does a good job also of keeping the other team's base runners from getting very aggressive with themselves. So those three right there are defensively are my biggest asset.
I think we talked about this the other night when, obviously your catcher is the quarterback of the team per se, in the fact of he sees the whole field. He's responsible for a lot of intellectual things and so forth. But, the center fielder is no slouch either, because Adam Emerson's probably also seeing, most all the game too, just from a different angle. How important is it that your center fielder be, just as a visionary as the catcher, but kind of, backwards?
Well, he's got to get a real good jump on the ball. And it's real difficult coming from center field because a lot of times the balls are being hit directly at you. So it's sometimes hard from a vision standpoint to see exactly how hard the ball is being hit when it's coming straight at you. So he's done a good job there all year, and defensively he's made a lot of big plays for us.
Let's talk about a couple of the other matchups on Monday. Chatham and Nelson County are playing for the second time in about a week or a week and a half. Analyze that matchup. I'll let you put on your best Baseball Tonight analyst hat and break that one down for me.
Well, Chatham got Nelson County pretty good last week. They thumped them pretty good. Chatham had something to play for that in that game. Nelson didn't. Nelson's very well coached, and Scott McGarry, and they're in the same boat as the rest of us. So you win one game, and you have a great chance to go to the regionals. And they've played a lot of teams tough this year. They beat us once, but they've played all the teams very competitively throughout the year. So that's going to be a pretty good matchup. I don't really know exactly what Coach Anderson down in Chatham's going to do. I'm sure he threw his ace on Friday for the district championship game that they lost. So he's a little bit behind the eight ball there.
What would worry you in terms if you're Scott McGarry going up against Chatham and if you're Chad Anderson going against Nelson, in terms of what would worry you about the other team's squad?
Nelson County is very, very motivated. They play very, very hard, and you can't let your guard down against them at any time. They're always capable throughout their lineup to put a few hits and runs together. There's not a lot of consistency in their lineup, but there's a lot of assertiveness in their lineup where they get the job done somehow. And then they have a lot of productive outs when they do make outs, and that's sometimes more important than getting a lot of base hits. For Chatham, they've been there and done that. They've won the district for multiple years in a row until this year when Athletics beat them. Just a couple of years ago, they won a state championship, so tradition is definitely on their side.
William Campbell and Gretna is the other matchup. Size that one up for me.
Just a couple weeks ago, Gretna no-hit William Campbell. William Campbell is a very, very young team. Gretna's got some young men on their team that have had a lot of experience in Coleman Osborne and a couple of their outfielders. That's going to be a very, very good matchup. It'll be interesting to see how William Campbell comes out, how loose they play, being on a bigger stage as a number 3 seed.
This is not your first rodeo in terms of coaching into a district tournament. I'm sure you've been on both sides of what I'm about to ask, in terms of you've probably had a team that's been surging going into a district tournament, and you've probably had a team, or at least been an assistant on a team that's kind of been sliding going into a district tournament. Tell me how you approach both ways in terms of being on that coaching staff.
Well, if you've got momentum on your side, you want to keep riding it. But whether you're slumping or whether you're encouraging. It's a new season. Everybody has no wins and no losses. And for half the teams in the district, it'll be one loss and you're out. So it's a brand new start. It's a brand new start for the teams that have been struggling. But on the flip side, even if you've been winning, that really doesn't matter anymore. It all comes down to this one game.
How soon can you tell in a game, whether it's your team or the other team, if that team knows it's the second season, if that makes sense to you?
Everybody is so well coached, and the players are so well versed in it that they know the situation. I don't really think you can tell one way or the other, because baseball, being a 7-inning game, can change throughout the game, the momentum. You might not get it to the second half of the game, and just try to ride out the storm through the first half. So, there's a lot of momentum switches with, pitching changes or a big hit or an unfortunate error one way or the other. But I think everybody knows the situation from the coaching staff on down, and the players are well aware of it.
Appomattox is the number one seed, like we mentioned. Do you feel that anybody out of this whole tournament has an advantage to keep playing at home in terms of their park is so advantageous to them, the rest of the team's kind of struggling it?
No, I don't believe so. Most everybody's got at least one real good ace. So everybody's best pitcher this year has shut down almost every other team at some point during the season. So I don't think it's as much the ballpark as who they're throwing against that team.
Coach, definitely best of luck to you against Dan Rive, and we hope to talk to you very soon.
I hope I get to talk to you after a victory on Monday.
Stewart Grant on the Sports Buffet Podcast.